Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with a very strong leader, a man who has been through a lot, and a man who I've gotten to know very well, and we've gotten along really very well. And we had a big call yesterday, as you know, with President Putin, and we'll be talking about it. President Zelensky of Ukraine has endured a lot. I mean, he really has. He's endured a lot, and we've endured it with him. To be honest, it's been a long time, and I think we're making great progress. So we're going to be talking about that today. We'll be talking about what took place yesterday with my phone call with President Putin, and I think that things are coming along pretty well. It began with Alaska, where I think certain guidelines were discussed. We want to see if we can get this done. This was long ago into the Biden administration. I came here and we inherited this, and we'd like to see if we could finish it, end it. We want it ended. So many people have died in this war, and we're gonna get it ended. So I just want to thank you all very much. If you have a couple of questions, go ahead, please. In fact, before I do that, let me just ask the President to say a few words. Thank you, President.
Sure. Glad to meet you again, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the invitation. Again, my congratulations with your successful ceasefire in the Middle East.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you did it, and I think this is the momentum to finish Russia's war against Ukraine. I think that, yes, we understand that Putin is not ready. I think not ready, but I think that I'm confident that with your help, we can stop this war. And we really need it. We see that they don't have successful steps on the battlefield, and it's good. I think that their army is weak now, but a lot of losses. They have a lot of losses in economy and people, and I think this is a very important moment. And I wanted to thank you, Mr. President, after our phone calls. Yesterday I had a good opportunity to meet with the big American energy companies, and they're ready to help us. Yes, after all these attacks on our infrastructure, Russian attacks and etc. And I had also meetings, thanks to your team. We had meetings with a good military companies. We spoke about air defense, and I want to share it after the details where we are. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very good. And I think it looks beautiful in this jacket.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I hope people notice. It's actually very stylish. I like it.
President Trump.
Please go ahead.
Under the Biden administration, the White House was fearing of a possible escalation. They were not allowing the Ukrainians to strike into Russia, fearing of this escalation.
Yeah.
Would your administration allow Ukrainians to strike deep into Russia?
We're going to be talking about that. That's something we'll be talking about. You're right. It's an escalation, but we'll be talking about that.
Mr. President, will President Zelensky join you in Hungary to meet President Putin?
Because it's a leader that we like. We like Viktor Orban. He likes him. I like him. It's a country that's a safe country. Done a very good job. He's been a very good leader in the sense of running his country. He doesn't have a lot of the problems that other countries have. And so we've decided that we'll be going to be with Viktor Orban, and I think he'll be a very good host.
President Trump. President Trump. President Trump.
Yeah, it's
President Trump.
Hungary, yeah. We're doing Hungary, yeah.
With President Trilateral meeting, is it just you and Putin?
To be determined, but I would say most likely it's going to be a double meeting. It'll be a double meeting, but we will have the President, Zelensky, in touch. There's a lot of bad blood with the two presidents, and I'm not speaking out of turn when I say it. It's a very difficult situation. You know, we just settled the war, and after thousands of years, I guess. People say anywhere from 500 to 3,000 years, and I was in rooms, as you saw, because you were with me, a lot of you were with me last week, with leaders that didn't like each other, but they were able to get along. These two leaders do not like each other, and we want to make it comfortable for everybody. So one way or the other, we'll be involved in threes, but it may be separated.
President Trump, President Trump.
doesn't agree to peace in Hungary.
Was he what? Where are you from?
From Ukraine. He actually had a
Okay, good.
conversation with me.
Good, yeah.
What if Mr. President Putin doesn't agree to peace in Hungary? What do you do then? Do you have?
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, you know, what if? I think he will. I think that President Putin wants to end the war, or it wouldn't be talking this way. I think he wants to end the war. I spoke to him yesterday for 2.5 hours. We went through a lot of details. He wants to get it ended. I think that President Zelensky wants to get it ended. Now we have to get it done.
President Trump, Kara Castronova from Lindell TV, and although I love asking you questions, today my question is for President Zelensky.
Sure. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Our President Zelensky, President Trump, just brokered a peace deal in the Middle East that all Americans, both sides of the aisle, are very proud of. But to meet that deal, both sides had to make concessions. Our president has stuck out his neck in many ways to make a peace deal for your war as well. What specific concessions are you willing to make to end this war with Russia? Will you give up joining NATO? Americans have foreign war fatigue, and our president, as he said, we need our tomahawks too.
To me.
Yes, you
Okay.
Zelensky.
Thank you very
What
much.
concessions will you
That's some question.
So many questions
Thanks.
in one. Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I think we need to sit and speak. The second point, we need ceasefire. Even now, you see in the Middle East, it's very difficult to hold ceasefire. Everywhere, in every war, it's very difficult. We want peace. Putin doesn't want. That's why we need pressure on him. We will speak with President today what we need. We understand what we need to push Putin to negotiation table. And as I said previously, so we are ready to speak in any kind of format, bilateral, trilateral, doesn't matter. Matter just peace. This is important. And we don't speak about NATO or NATO. For Ukrainians, it's very important. Of course, it's our decisions of allies to decide where we are.
But are you willing to give
Yes,
up
but
joining
the
NATO?
most important thing for people in Ukraine, which are under each day's attacks, to have really strong security guarantees. NATO is the best, but weapon is very important. Allies on our side is very important, and between us, for us, bilateral security guarantees between me and President Trump is very important. I don't know, we didn't speak with details about it, but this is the most important document because the United States is very strong.
Sir?
President Trump, you are the middleman right now, hoping to end this conflict. Who is doing a better job negotiating, President Zelensky or President Putin?
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. We've got to take some of the hatred of each other. You know, they don't like each other. I say that in front of President Zelensky, but I say it in front of President Putin too. Tremendous bad blood. It really is what is holding up, I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get it done, and we have to make it long-lasting. As I said in the Middle East, everlasting, right? Everlasting. And the Middle East is a much more complicated situation. You know, we had 59 countries involved, and every one of them agreed. And it's sort of amazing. Most people didn't think that was doable. This is going to be something I really believe that's going to get done. I had a very good talk yesterday with President Putin. I think he wants to get it done.
And President Zelensky, right behind you. When we were in Israel with President Trump earlier in the week, we heard a lot about the difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Joe Biden before him. What do you see as the biggest difference in diplomacy between President Trump and President Biden?
President Trump has a big chance now to finish this war. President Biden now is not the president, so he doesn't have a chance to finish this war. And President Trump is really showed for the world that he can manage ceasefire in the Middle East, and that's why I hope that he will do this, and we will also have such big success. For Ukraine, it's a big chance, and I hope that President Trump can manage it.
Are you
I would say the biggest difference is one is extremely competent and the other one is grossly incompetent.
Sir, a few weeks ago in New York, when you two met, you said that you think Ukraine could ultimately take back all the territory that it's lost so far. Do you still think that's the case, or do you think there'll have to be some sort of?
You never know. You know, war is very interesting. You never know, do you? You just never know. With war and peace, but you never know.
Are you ready to missile?
Please.
Russia calls Tomahawk supply to Ukraine as an escalation, yet it continues using similar cruise missiles like Caliber and
Yeah.
US.
Who are you with? Who are you with? You, Ukraine? Good.
But Russia continues using the cruise missiles and also nuclear-capable ballistic missiles in Ukraine since 2022. So do you consider providing Ukraine with the Tomahawk or similar missiles as an opportunity to equalize the possibilities of Ukraine and Russia and push Moscow to the negotiation
Yeah.
table?
Sure. We're going to be talking about that. That's why we're here. Okay? Fair question. Exactly as he told you to say it. But we're going to be talking about it. Okay? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, message to India and Hungary who is still refusing.
You said India and Hungary? That's an interesting.
And Hungary.
India and Hungary. It's an interesting combination.
Refuse to stop buying Russian oil.
Well, India is not going to be buying Russian oil anymore. And Hungary is sort of stuck because they have one pipeline that's been there for years and years and years, and they're inland. They don't have sea. They don't have sea. And I spoke with the very great leader of Hungary, and they are, you know, it's very hard for them to get oil. I understand it. Hungary's in a very interesting position because they can't have ports. You know, they're surrounded by land. So we'll see what happens there. But India will not be buying oil from Russia. And they've already de-escalated and they've more or less stopped. They're pulling back. They bought about 38% of the oil and they won't be doing it anymore.
President Trump has been helping you in achieving peace in Ukraine.
Who has?
First Lady Melania Trump
Yeah.
has been helping in returning abducted Ukrainian children from Russian captivity. President Zelensky, do you appreciate those efforts? How do you assess them? And did you ask her to step in to help you?
No, she wanted to do it. She just felt very strongly about the children. And she's done a really good job, I think, in bringing it to the fore. You know, we have a lot of children involved. Now, it's some people say it's 20,000 and some people say it's 300. There's a big difference between that, so nobody really knows. But she felt very strongly about the children. She thinks about the children all the time.
If you okay Tomahawks to Ukraine, what's going to happen if the United States is in a conflict and we need the Tomahawks?
Well, that's the problem. We need Tomahawks and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. We've been, you know, we gave them a lot. Now we have a different situation. We send it to the European Union. They pay for it and all that, and they have plenty of money. But it's beyond the money. You know, we need Tomahawks, or we need a lot of other weapons that we're sending to Ukraine. One of the reasons we want to get this war over is exactly that. It's not easy for us to give. You're talking about massive numbers of very powerful weapons. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks. I think we're fairly close to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say,
Yeah, please.
just to understand. So for today, of course we want to finish this war, but the war is another technological war. You don't use just Tomahawks. If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have Tomahawks. That's why we need Tomahawks. But the United States is a very strong production, and the United States has Tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles, but they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
And so just so that I understand, so you're suggesting kind of a trade if President Trump okays Tomahawk missiles to help you launch.
Yes, it's about
Russia,
military goals.
then
It's
you
only
would
about
let-
military goals.
Right, but then you would authorize some kind of an exchange with.
Yes, of course.
the US,
Yes, we
Ukraine.
have proposition. We have big proposition with our drones.
President Trump, I don't mean to be brokering an arms deal here, but is that something that you would be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war. I will say, there's nothing like the jets. You know, we knocked out a lot of drones in Israel. We were knocking them out for Israel, and we were doing it with extremely fast and powerful jets, following the drones and knocking the hell out of them. So it's, you know, we know a lot about the drones, and we know a lot about the great jets, the great ones. The ones, well, and the B-52s, which were totally they were stealth, they were undetectable. So we have a lot of different weapons. And, you know, I have an obligation also to make sure that we're completely stocked up as a country, because you never know what's going to happen. In war and peace, right? You never know what's going to happen. So we're going to be talking about Tomahawks, and would much rather have them not need Tomahawks. Would much rather have the war be over, to be honest, because, you know, we're in it to get the war over. We're selling a lot of different types of weapon, as you know, to the European Union. We're not in it for that. We're in it to get it over. We're losing thousands of people a week, thousands of people, Russian, Ukrainian, and mostly soldiers. I mean, mostly soldiers. But we're in it to see that end, and if we can end quickly, and I think we can. I mean, I had a very good talk yesterday. We're going to be talking about it, but I had a very productive talk yesterday with President Putin. We'll see what happens. But the war in the Middle East was far more complicated. We got that one done, and I think we have a good chance. I think President Zelensky wants it done, and I think President Putin wants it done. Now all they have to do is get along.
Can you give us an update on the trade negotiations with China, or perhaps Secretary of
Yeah, I will, and I'm going to let Scott do that. But I think we're doing very well. I think we're getting along with China. China would like to have something. As of this moment, we'll be meeting in a couple of weeks. We'll be meeting in South Korea.
You think
Myself,
go forward?
I think so. It looks like it's going forward. I think so. They want to meet. We like to meet. I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane. And then when I came into office, as you know, I put very severe tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my first term from China. Biden let that go because it was so much. He let it continue, but he gave all sorts of exceptions. And by the time you looked at it, Scott, I would say it wasn't the same thing. He would give an exception for anything. If you got up and went out to dinner, he'd give you an exception. So it wasn't the same thing. But I put on very serious tariffs. So we took in hundreds of billions of dollars. And then I left office. The election was rigged. I left office, and that was the story. Now I come back, and we are in a very strong position because of tariffs. We're in a very powerful position because of the fact that we have tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be in a very weak position. We would be in a weakened state. But with tariffs, we've made hundreds of billions of dollars, not only from China, but from others. And China wants to talk, and we like talking to China. So we have a very good relationship, and we're going to be meeting in South Korea a couple of weeks. And I just got back from a long trip. I'm going on another long trip. And Scott, do you want to say a few words on that, please?
Yes, sir. So the entire relationship stems from the great respect that the two leaders have for each other. China did a substantial, unprovoked escalation last week. We were unable to get in touch with them. Since then, it's been IMF World Bank Week. They have had working level here. There have been meetings. the Vice Premier, who is my counterpart, and I will be speaking this evening at around 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then he and I and a delegation will meet in Malaysia probably a week from tomorrow to prepare for the two presidents to meet. So I think that things have de-escalated. We hope that China will show the respect that we have shown them. And I am confident that President Trump, because of his relationship with President Xi, will be able to get things back on a good course.
Is the hope for that meeting with you and President Xi some kind of trade deal then, or
Could be.
more?
Look, I think we're in a very strong position. We're getting, as you know, as of November 1st, I could move it up if I wanted, a 100% tariff over and above what we get now. So that would make it about 157%. And China doesn't want that, and they want to talk, and we're talking, and I think we'll make a deal that will be good for both. I think we will do something, but you have to understand, we never got anything from China. It was a one-way street. For many years, for decades, it was a one-way street, and they became rich because of the United States. And frankly, presidents that, let's be nice, they didn't know. They just didn't know. They didn't understand what was happening to them. But I understood it. I understood it long before I ran for politics. I used to watch in amazement at how stupid our country was, how stupid they were. And we're not stupid anymore. And that includes with the European Union, that includes with Japan and South Korea. All we want to do is be treated fairly. But the fairly is hundreds of billions and even trillions of dollars coming into the United States. And it's our national security is secure because of tariffs. If we didn't have tariffs, we would have no national security. So it's very important.
We seek China's help in ending the war in Ukraine. Do you need them to put pressure on Russia?
I'll be discussing that, but I'd love to see it ended before that. I mean, I think we have a chance of ending the war quickly if flexibility is shown on behalf, and again, we're not losing people. The United States is not, we're not losing people, we're not spending money, we're getting paid for the, ammunition and missiles and everything else that we're sending to the European Union, but to NATO. But it's very similar. If you look at the countries, I mean, it's very similar. And we just made a very fair trade deal with the European Union and what we wanted, and we made a very good deal with NATO too. They paid for all of this. That's not what we're in this for. We're in it to save thousands of lives every week. Thousands and thousands of lives. That's why we're in it. And I think we have a very good chance of bringing this war to a conclusion.
President, and your cabinet has done honestly an excellent job. I think that a lot of people could agree to that.
Thank you.
I'm speaking as someone who lost my father in a war, so I know the human cost. What would your advice be to American leaders, to world leaders, to neocons, to TV hosts who often speak about conflict in abstract or strategic terms rather than the human cost and the human terms?
Look, my only statement is we have to get together. It's a very small group of people. It's the president, and the president. Okay, 3 presidents. And I'm the mediator president. And I'm mediating not an easy situation. It should be easy, but it's a lot easier when people understand each other and when they get together and when they like each other. We don't necessarily have that situation as far as like is concerned. Maybe it can turn around, maybe it can. But in the meantime, we'll have them keep a little bit of distance and we're going to see if we can get it done. This is number 9, okay? This will be number 9 for me. I've solved 8, including the Middle East, I've solved 8. This, I thought, would have been among the easiest. We solved, President Putin mentioned yesterday Armenia, all of the different wars. He said it was amazing because but the big one that he was surprised that we were able to settle was the Middle East. He thought it was incredible. He was very generous in that sense. This should be something we're able to settle, and I think we will be able to settle.
Brian? On that note, you will go down as a peacemaker, no doubt, and you will resolve this war.
Well, we resolved 8 others. It's funny how people say that. If you get this one, every time I do one, they forget about that one. I solved 8 wars. go to Rwanda and the Congo, talk about India and Pakistan, look at Thailand, look at all of the wars that we solved. And every time I solve one, they say, if you solve the next one, you're going to get the Nobel Prize. I didn't get a Nobel Prize. Somebody got it who's a very nice woman, very nice. I don't know who she is, but she was very generous. So I don't care about all that stuff. I just care about saving lives. But this will be number 9. But every time I solve one, they said, sir, if you solve one more, you're going to be known as a peacekeeper. So to the best of my knowledge, we've never had a president that solved one war. Not one war. Bush started a war. A lot of them start wars, but they don't solve the wars. They don't settle them. And especially when they have nothing to do with us. I saw almost, I guess, just about all of these wars had nothing to do with us. But I saved tens of millions of lives. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said, I saved millions of lives in interceding on Pakistan, and you look at Pakistan and India as an example. That would have been a bad one, 2 nuclear nations, right? So I say this, this is pretty much the last one, although I do understand that Pakistan attacked, or there is an attack going on with Afghanistan. That's an easy one for me to solve if I have to solve it. In the meantime, I have to run the USA, but I love solving wars. You know why? I like stopping people from being killed, and I've saved millions and millions of lives, and I think we're going to have success with this war. Wait, please.
This, President Zelensky, this is your 3rd time over here. Oh. And by the way, you look excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
For you, by the way. This is your 3rd time here. How different sitting across from the president is this time versus the 2 previous times here at the White House? And how confident are you hearing the success rate of solving these prior wars that he can get this war solved?
First of all, about suit. The same suit because the same president. It's very simple. The next president will have another suit. Yes, about our relations with President Trump, I think we have important dialogues, and I think we begin to understand each other. Yes, and I know that President is briefed very well about the situation in the battlefield, and he knows a lot what's going on the battlefield in Ukraine, and I think it really helps. When you know a lot of things, a lot of details about one or another war, it helps a lot. But we are still in war. And I hope we can manage. It's important.
Not meeting their commitment. You pointed out Spain. They said that it's impossible.
No, Spain has not come through. No, Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Spain has been, they're the only one. Everyone went up to, as you know, I mean, you were at 2% and they all went up to 5%, but Spain disagreed with that. I think Spain should be reprimanded for that. I think it's very bad that they did that, but that's up to them. That's up to NATO and Spain.
They cannot be expelled from NATO.
Can they or not?
They cannot, according to the treaty, but they also claim that they are protected by the European Union umbrella for trade.
Well, the other people, many of the other countries are in the European Union too. They're not complaining, right?
President, tell you that Putin is serious.
That's of interest.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mr. President, do you think you can carry the momentum from the Middle East deal over to this deal? And
I
if
do.
so, how does that move the needle?
Yeah, I do. I think we carry a lot of momentum, a lot of credibility. Getting Middle East done was very important. Nobody thought it could be done. That was one nobody thought could be done, and we got it done. And a lot of that was the big hit that we put on Iran with respect to the nuclear. They took, that was an unbelievable military maneuver, the B-2s, and many other planes involved, by the way, but the B-2s. Yeah, I think nobody expected that to happen, and we had 59 countries involved, and these were countries very diverse. You had Arab, Muslim, Jewish, you had every country, Christian, you had every country, many countries involved, and we got that done. And we got it done pretty swiftly after we set the table properly. We had to set the table properly. This should be one that we get done. And I think the table is set properly here now, too. And it'll be a great honor. It'll be a great honor to get it done. And the Ukrainian people are great, and the Russian people are great. And obviously they have much in common, as we understand. They have a lot in common. So it'll be a great honor to get it done.
On Venezuela, there are survivors from your latest boat strike. What happens to those survivors?
Well, I'll ask Marco to discuss that possibly.
Yeah, it's well known there's an ongoing narco-terrorist operation the United States has been conducting. As far as details of any recent strikes, we're not prepared here to announce all those details, but you'll get that information here very shortly.
And how are there survivors when these are meant to be lethal attacks?
Yeah, again, I mean, we're undertaking these operations against narco-terrorists. That's what these are. These are terrorists. Let's be clear. And but as far as the details of any recent operations, when we are prepared to announce those, we will, as the president has consistently done. So you may get something on that later today.
Let me ask you, that was in a submarine, right? We attacked a submarine, and that was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs. Just so you understand, this was not an innocent group of people. I don't know too many people that have submarines, and that was an attack on a drug-carrying, loaded-up submarine.
On Putin, is it your belief, as Mr. Zelensky said yesterday, that the threat of tomahawks and costs, as Secretary Hicks put it, is that bringing him to the table, the fact that it's kind of a carrot and stick?
I don't know what's bringing him to it. I think he wants to make a deal, that's all. I can't tell you what's bringing him. Sure, that's the threat of that is good, but the threat of that is always there. Tomahawks are very dangerous weapons. They're incredible weapons. If you like warfare, it's one of the most accurate. You know, we hit 30 Tomahawks in Iran after the B-2s did their damage. We sort of gave it a little capper with 30 Tomahawks from a submarine, quite far away actually, but they're an amazing weapon. They're a very powerful weapon, but they're a very dangerous weapon, and it could mean big, escalation. It could mean a lot of bad things can happen. Tomahawks are a big deal, but one thing I have to say, we want Tomahawks also. We don't want to be giving away things that we need to protect our country. We have a very strong country right now. We have a strong military. We have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. I want to get this war over. Okay?
Putin-Trump tunnel to connect Russia and Alaska. Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska. It's going to get us to a lot of minerals, so we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think he liked it. I don't think he liked it.
President Trump, do you think that Putin is your gut instinct?
Well, we had a senator that wanted, remember, from Hawaii, she wanted a tunnel from the mainland to Hawaii, and she said, well, we can't do that, so we're going to build a railroad to Hawaii. Do you remember? She's a current sitting senator, a Democrat. She wants a railroad to go to Hawaii, right? You know who that is, right? She's another.
President Trump, your gut instinct.
Yeah, please.
On your meeting with Putin, aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am, but you know, I've been played all my life by the best of them, and I came out really well. So it's possible, yeah, a little time. It's all right. But I think that I'm pretty good at this stuff. I think that he wants to make a deal. I made 8 of them. I'm going to make a 9th. I think he wants to make a deal. Well, I think that he should have won the war in a week. Yeah, I do think. And if we didn't give the anti-tank missiles, as you know, the javelins they call them, they got stuck in the mud. They would have been in Kiev very quickly. They were heading to Kiev, so In war you have a lot of luck too. People, weather has won war, and the cold and the heat and all things take place in war. But that was a very interesting moment when the tanks started rolling, and some brilliant general said, "Let's go through the mud instead of going down the highway." Right? So they got a little bit lucky. But when they really got lucky, I gave javelins. That wasn't given by Barack Hussein Obama. He gave them sheets. There's a statement. Obama gave them sheets, and I gave them the javelins. And the javelins are a devastating weapon. And that wasn't given by Obama. That was given by Trump, because at the time it was Obama. That was given by me. So it was like one of those things. And you had hundreds of them. They're a devastating weapon. We have a lot of devastating weapons. I'd rather not use them. But that was a big moment. When the tanks got stuck, they got stuck. And call it luck or call it talent. I'm not sure what you'd call it, but it was a big moment in time.
Do you think Democrats will give you credit? Do you think Democrats will give you credit when you finally end this war, like they did with the war in the Middle East?
I think right now the Democrats are really damaged, mentally damaged. They want to take 1.5 trillion with a T, $1 trillion, and give it to people that invaded our country. They came into our country illegally, from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members. They want to give them health care and take it away from our citizens. We're not going to do that. $1.5 trillion they want to destroy. They want to destroy our health care system. We're not going to let that happen.
Do you authorize present CIA operations in Venezuela?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but some interesting things are happening around the world, I'll say that.
It has been reported that Maduro offered everything in his country, all the natural resources. He even recorded a message to you in English recently, offering mediation. What should we do to stop that?
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, everybody.
Did you hear Trump? Wow, he just cursed. Oh my God. I didn't see that coming. Wow. So what do you guys think? Zelensky, the reason for this meeting, I believe, is because Zelensky's here trying to get the Tomahawk weapons. He said they have plenty of drones, so I'm quite sure they got drones from the EU. They probably had drones from the United States. And President Trump said, we already have drones, but we need to have some weapons for ourselves because we have given so much to Ukraine. And it's like we're fighting this war through Ukraine soldiers. So now he wants the Tomahawks, which would cause more damage to Russia. But Russia is not standing by itself, just like Ukraine is not standing by itself, because the United States is supporting Ukraine. We're supporting Ukraine. The only thing they don't have right now are our bodies, our soldiers. But Russia is not alone. He does have the support of President Xi. They're supplying, I think, even military soldiers to Russia. And President Un of North Korea is standing with Russia. So when we hear these conversations, I don't think we're hearing them as a whole. Russia is not just fighting Ukraine and the United States, per se. They're fighting, they have support, and Russia can do more damage than it has done because it's the second most powerful country in the world. And then followed by China. So we got all these people with these nuclear capabilities, and I don't see where we're going with this, because I'm quite sure that Putin is listening to everything and his administration. And it seemed like at one time Trump couldn't stand Zelensky, and now I don't know what has happened. It's like he's going more along with Zelensky, and it seems like he's leaning more towards against Putin. And when you're a mediator, you really don't want to show biases on either side. You want to be in the middle, because you want these two countries to come together to end and settle this war. But I think you have to really be careful about who you're showing the most support to, because Putin could keep going, and then they can bring in their allies. They do have allies. I don't think the EU is that strong. I don't think, other than the United States, I would feel more comfortable if China was our ally as well. But no, it's Russia that have them. So it's a lot that we have to look at, and this is still going on. And this small little territory that Putin has taken can wind up being a World War III. That everybody start fighting over a strip of land. So Ukraine is going to have to compromise, and Russia is going to have to compromise. They're going to have to compromise. They're going to give some and lose some. Russia is not going to go in there and lost all these soldiers and all this that Putin has done and not walk away with something. So they're going to get something. And Ukraine is going to get to keep most of their country. So that's going to be probably the negotiation. They're there get to have most of their country. Because if America had stepped back, they would have lost more than they gained.
Hold on, Mom. Someone's trying to say that, like, we're DEI, and
why is that changing the subject? We don't care about. Go ahead.
I know they said
you give too much. Go ahead.
They saying we don't follow a train of thought if we didn't rely so much on DEI, and you could look it up, you moron. But white women are who mostly benefit from DEI.
You know what? The thing that we have to learn: don't entertain. If they let them super chat. Anybody that's uneducated, let them super chat, because when people have nothing in them, that's when they try to attack the person that's bringing the message.
I'm not gonna be for someone coming at us and our intelligence.
No, I'm just saying. Well, let's handle them. You know, the thing about it is that's giving attention, because that's not really what the conversation was about. They throw diversity, equity, and inclusion out because they're uneducated. They still, after this late stage, does not understand that Black people did not benefit from DEI. Yes, this government made us the face of it. So when you see Black people, that's the lie that's been told. DEI mostly benefited white women. Everybody knows that at this point. Followed by Hispanics, Asians, the indigenous, disabled, seniors, vets, and the list goes on. But Black people were number 9. We didn't benefit from DEI. But we're always the face of it. We're blamed for everything in this country that we don't benefit from. We got to stand 10 toes down on our own merit, like Trump talked about merit. Well, nothing is given to Black people. Nothing is given to us. They might lie to you and say that, but DEI doesn't even belong to us. Who knew?
Now Trump's going after Black people. The ICE is now arresting Black people. We saw that young Black.
Yeah, they right now we got not just problems, so we're kind of diverting. We have problems not just outside of the country, because what happens around the world affects all of us. And our military attention and our National Guard's focus should be on the threats outside of this country. And if we want to deal with threats inside of this country, which somehow we have deflected from, were the 350 terrorists, the NS-13, Trinidad and Tobago, the 50,000 Chinese nationals, the ISIS, cartel. You know, we have everything here in this country now. 2 million gotaways. 15,000 convicted rapists. 11,000 convicted murderers. We have all this, and somehow we diverted from the situation that has happened into this country, and now Trump is using the military to focus on American citizens. And he said this is what he's saying. This is be some training for our military. So it doesn't make sense. So we're imploding inside the country and we're imploding outside the country. We have to keep our eyes on everything that's going on. Now, I see there is a new relationship between Trump and Zelensky. He didn't like Zelensky at first, but somehow they have come to some sort of agreement. And I don't know, wars, you can stay in office. Right now, what we're doing with Venezuela's preparing for war. They're practicing. So we're nudging them on, and we want to fight. Trump cares so much about Ukrainian and Russian soldiers, but hopefully he cares enough about American soldiers that we don't get put in a war and then we start losing our men and women in the military. Because right now, like there are a lot of homeless vets that are living on the street, but we brought in, and not his administration, but the Democrat administration brought in over 14 million illegal aliens that receive housing, they receive food stamps, they receive licenses, they receive education, they have cars, they received everything that has not been afforded to American citizens.
And now we got the government shutdown.
Yeah, and then the biggest issue is the government shutdown. We're doing all this talking about Zelensky and Ukraine, but look how many days the government has been shut down. That and then the Republicans immediately went on vacation. Mike Johnson, and we're gonna be honest, sent them on vacation. You cannot negotiate if you're not there.
Like, this is the time I agree with AOC and Bernie Sanders.
You can talk in front.
Yeah, this is the time I agree with Bernie Sanders and AOC. I believe at their town hall meeting about how the Republicans won't simply just pick up the phone and talk together and find a resolution. You know, just staying one-sided and against even talking to them, you're not going to get everything going as normally.
And at the end of the day, it's the American people that are suffering.
Yeah.
The American people are still being put last because 4,000 more people lost their jobs. Now, I thought this administration was about America first and putting Americans back to work, but more Americans have lost jobs since Trump been since he's been president than the last presidency. Like they said, Americans weren't being hired, but even the black community that been hit the hardest was 350,000 black women lost their jobs. 350,000. Those are households. Those are houses, car insurances, loans, kids going to college, single homes, apartments, whatever. They lost incomes, and a lot of the households that are with black households are led by black women. So when you hurt the black women, now that's added to the employment. But the last unemployment statistic was only 22,000 jobs were added. So there's nothing to upside it right now. I know about all the promises from all these different corporations, from Apple to Hyundai to everyone saying they're going to bring business here, from Qatar and Saudi. Now they're talking about putting some freaking plant here in Ottawa. So it's a lot that's going on. But right now, there's nothing that's coming into the country to provide these living wage jobs. We're not talking about McDonald's. We're talking about living wage jobs to give people affordability to take care of their families. And you have a lot of MAGA that are losing their jobs, that are losing health care. And if the Democrats don't hold out, like I was like, nobody that entered this country should be using our healthcare system. That's supposed to be for American citizens. There are American citizens that don't have health care, that have died. But we're providing health care for non-citizens. There's something wrong with that picture. And right now, if they don't settle this, more people are going to be fired. That means they're going to lose health care, life insurance, homes, cars, unemployment, and the jobs aren't there. The job, they don't work 30 years at a job and they lost retirement, lost everything. The jobs have not come into this country yet. That's an issue. To me, I'd rather for Trump to have waited to fire or whatever they're doing with the federal workers so that when the jobs came in that were promised, those are only promises right now to this country that they can go seek employment. You have to have them to be able to seek employment. So right now, it's not good. Because if the Democrats don't hold out, they're talking about like 20 million, I'm talking about Americans, not the illegals, that should not be on our health care. But Americans are going to lose their jobs. They say hospitals are going to close in those rural areas. There are going to be people that are in nursing homes that are going to close. So my whole thing, I want Americans to do well. I'm for America first. That means all Americans. regardless of ethnicity. Just like God created us, He gave us different ethnicities. He gave us different skin tones. So if you have a problem with skin tone, take it up with God. Because He's our creator. And if you don't like it, then you don't belong in heaven. Because you're going to have all the ethnicities in heaven. So if you can't get along down here, then you're not heaven bound. Well, you're not heaven bound. You can do whatever you want with your sexuality. You can change, but your skin tone is what you were born with. And the world, most of the world is brown. The world was birthed out of people of color. That's how the world was birthed out of. But see, they hide so much from history and backgrounds that you would think that the first people, whatever, I guess what they show you movies were white, and that's a lie. They were black.
Yeah.
They were black.
And there's just, you guys could look it up, but there's scholars that say that the Garden of Eden, a lot say that it was either in Africa or Saudi Arabia.
You know, so it's a lot that's going on. But if you for America first, there are so many people that voted for Trump did not believe that they were going to be affected in a negative way by this administration. I had assumed that Trump was for all the people. In order for this country to do well, we all need to do well. We all need to work together. All the ethnicities came together to vote for him and put him in office. And I thought he was about all Americans.
Just MAGA.
But you can't be just for MAGA. He can't keep on alienating half of America. He's the president of all of us. He's not just the Republican president or MAGA. He's the president of United States of America. That's why we went and we prayed for Trump, prayed for this administration. We joined a corporate prayer. It was probably like 60,000 of us with Church 2819. And we all came together for our prayer to pray to God for this country, the president, the administration, our families, friends, and everything. Because these are the last days. They really are. And now it's peace in the Middle East. The Bible is playing itself out in real time, whether y'all realize it or not. But we're looking up because Jesus is coming back any time. But the thing about it that all of us voted for him, and I believe that he was right. But now I see Stephen Miller. He's like the Ku Klux Klan in the flesh. You know, he's all about white supremacy. Elon is racist. You got all these people around Trump that are racist, and they're not hiding it. The executive orders and the things that are going on is attacking Americans. Americans, not the illegals, but Americans. And I see a lot of harm being done to all of us because you can't separate us. I have a Democratic congressman, but he has to represent me whether I voted for Republican or not. He still has to represent the whole community. And the president has to represent everyone. So when you label people as thugs and tell them they were born criminals and tell that lie from hell, when you're sitting in a White House and you're convicted of felonies and you don't want to give grace that was given to you, it's something wrong with that picture. You have to give that grace back.
He always says like leftist lunatics.
Yeah, leftist lunatics, all that. But those are still your American citizens.
That you're the president of.
He's the president of all America. And it's sad that he has alienated, and he said he hates them. He said, I'm not like you. He was telling Charlie Kirk's wife, Erica, now I'm not like you. I hate them. I hate my enemies. It's like, but you're the president. You have to put away your emotions and your feelings and do right for all the people. I don't agree with everything on the left. A lot. That last administration was the worst of the worst.
Jack asks, is Elijah still rocking the MAGA hat?
You haven't seen him wearing it, right? Oh, send me your email, Jack. I already asked the Mr. Buki because I want to bring you guys on. As long as y'all can speak in a clear, concise manner, and everybody not sensitive and any emotions, so we can have these conversations like what I'm talking about now. And the whole purpose of this program is Speak the Truth 2.0, that we're not trying to get new subscribers to go along, to get along and just say what you want to hear. Our whole objective is to do what's right. That's it. I want righteous leaders. I want people in office that's going to represent all of us. I don't want a president coming in and all the gains that have been made in this country because of unfairness and because of people being racist and because of our prejudices, that people are not given the same opportunity. They're not. You could walk in there as a black person with a master's degree and working your PhD. Somebody could come in there without any credentials of a different ethnicity and get hired over you. That's what happens. It happens today. It happens. And if you're black, you gotta be on the top of your game in any executive position. And if you look at most of the executives, they're not black people. They don't allow you to rise up, But God didn't make a group of people smarter than the other. We have never been really in charge of this country. And look at the state that it's been in. This was not done by us. Everything everybody's going through it hasn't been because of black people. Okay, it's not us. This country from the beginning since George Washington has not been run by us. And the things that have been done, some of it has been so barbaric and cruel. And then people say that they're Christian.
Yeah, and now
I don't. No, you're not.
and now like it's really like humiliating because it's like now
Yeah, it's
we're looking like fools now, and now everything they said about Project 2025 is happening.
Yeah, they said more than half of it, and we wholeheartedly supported Trump. We said, well, Trump didn't do like Biden with the 1994 crime bill that caused mass incarceration of black men. You take the head out of the household, and you're leaving the women to fare, and the kids, they're left to the street because you don't have both parents in the household. They knew what they were doing. Then they kept down the birth rate, and then they put Planned Parenthood in our communities, and so we're eliminating our babies. So our population was intentionally kept down, and then they allow our men to be raped in prison. Like they want to fight for illegal immigrants, the Democrats, but they don't say anything about men being raped or boys being raped in prison. That's against the law, whether you're in prison or outside of prison. So things that needs to be done. They want to care about the conditions of the ICE detainment centers, but they don't go look at the conditions of American prisons. And then when you go to prison, it's called slavery. This is how they get slave labor. And the farmers need help. So Trump is going to every state, arresting people for just being black. They're not out there robbing and committing crimes. They're being detained and arrested for the color of their skin. But so we forgot all about the legal immigrants. All the focus now is he says it over and over and over again until you believe it. Oh, crime is down. Oh, get all the black people off the street. Now crime is down. But you're not talking about the mass shooters, the school shooters, the cop killers, the rapists and the murderers that's in the white community. He completely ignored every school shooter, all these cops have been killed left and right. I think like in the last month or 2 months, it's been like, I don't know how many cop killings by white men. No, not one word.
And how he like went out and helped I believe South Africans.
Yeah, like the South Africans talking about like you want to get rid of the Haitians that really need asylum because they really are going through it. That country is tore down, trash. They're being run by they're not even, I don't know who's running the country, but it's certainly, I think they had killed the president and all that too. So, they need help. But the South Africans, he brought over the rich like they were under some sort of harm, these white farmers, when it was the black farmers in these regions that were being killed at an enormous rate. And that's how it goes. That's how it goes. So it's a lot of injustices that are going on. And if you don't believe it, don't just depend on Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, Meet the Press, look, I was avid listener of all of these shows, but then I start switching to Ground News, that might be something that you want to subscribe to, because they show you the right and they show you the left, and they're non-biased. They show you both perspectives. And that's how we're going to bring people on here to be able to talk, because the only way that you can resolve things is to communicate. But this shutdown should be on the news, but Trump, by him having news conferences every single day, he's controlling the narrative, because people should be talking about the shutdown, because more people are going to lose jobs, prices are going to go up, we're going to be hit hard. And if the Democrats cave in, you're going to have millions and millions of people, Americans, that are going to lose their health care. That's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the Americans. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want federal workers to continue losing their jobs. They do not make a dent in that $17 trillion deficit. It's not them. Everything Elon promised, he did not accomplish. None of that. The deficit is still rising. So until these jobs and these promises are fulfilled, we need to keep our people employed until we can offer something better or equal to what they are losing under this administration. Because so far, I see a lot of Americans suffering. That's who I see. So we don't even talk about the illegal immigrants now. Where's Tom Homan? We don't even, where is he at? They don't even talk about him. Where is he at? Trump keeps saying people are criminals until you start believing it. He's doing a lot of injustice right now to the black community, trying to arrest our children. He want to arrest them now, so when they get older, they'll be criminals of the future. Who does that? So you're going to arrest every white child because he's going to become a mass shooter, school shooter? He's not doing that. So the stuff that's going on is wrong. And when Tyler Robinson, when he unfortunately allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, he blamed the radical left. No, they didn't blame the individual. It's like the individual didn't even do it. It was like a whole half of the country did it, and that was wrong. Matter of fact, they blamed the HBCU. That had nothing to do with anything. They thousands of miles away. They had nothing to do with the killing of Charlie Kirk. Nothing to do with it. But a young man was found hung from a tree, Trey Reed, a week later on campus at HBCU. And they tried to sweep it under the rug like he did it. Now they know he didn't do it, and they're investigating. Now they finding out. Now Colin Kaepernick paid for autopsy. He was bludgeoningly beaten in the back of his head. I guess he beat himself in the back of the head. He was stomped in his buttocks and back. Broken legs. Yeah, and he hung. We know he didn't, because that was right there hallmark. What has been what is it? Over 3,865 lynchings have been in this country. So we know that black people don't hang themselves. Nobody does. And they're going to display him on campus. And they found another young man. I didn't get his name, but this kind of stuff is going on. And guess what? There is a God, and everybody that's involved is going to answer to God. And please don't say you're a Christian, because if you racist and all this stuff, it's sinful. It's sin. So you're saying God got it all wrong by making us different with different skin tones. But everything is the same. We all have two eyes, a nose, two ears, a mouth, legs. All our organs are the same. He didn't make any race smarter than the other. We all have the same capabilities. But they want you to believe that if you're white, you're smarter. But you want to erase all the brilliance of all the other communities in the world, especially black people. Keep telling us, erase everything we have done so that we think that we're at the lower part of the totem pole when we're up here at the totem pole. You know, the truth is going to manifest. The truth is coming out. A lot of stuff I didn't know is coming out. You know, and that's why Trump wanted to go into the Smithsonian, remove the history and things that happen in America. See, that's how things repeat itself. They're trying to take us back. They're trying to go back to segregation. That's happening. He's signing these orders. That's what's happening now in 2025. But guess what? With social media, nobody's going back to that. Nobody is. So all this, I don't know what it is that people, are so afraid of when we're all in it together. What happens when that war breaks out and we're going to need each other? Because our bigger threats should be outside of this country, not inside. Y'all want to fight inside when we got threats outside. Russia and China, when they did that leadership summit, maybe y'all didn't pay attention to it. Putin, President Xi, and President India, all of them came together at that leadership summit. They're working together. Whatever they tell Trump, it doesn't matter. They're working together because China wants Taiwan, Russia wants Ukraine. They're working together. And while they watching us implode and try to fight each other, we want to fight each other when the war is outside of this country. That's how smart we are as Americans. But they're going to wake us up when they hit us. And the FBI, CIA, everybody saying Homeland Security, they know something's going to jump off in this country. They just don't know when. We got all these people that have entered this country. Y'all don't know who they are, where they are. Y'all just keep on focusing on the wrong things because it's called deflection. You better wake up. We need to be America first, and we need to stand one nation under God before it's too late. Because when things hit, you're going to need your neighbor. You're going to need one another. Because, you know, the United States, Zelensky said, oh, we big that, but we have given away so many weapons to Ukraine. And we're depleting what we need if something jumps off. We're depleting our own stock if something jumps off. All he keep doing is stroking President Trump. Oh, you big, you power. Putin's scared. Putin not scared of President Trump. He ain't scared of him. He's not even that type of man. But Zelensky, this stroke Trump eagle. You the big bad guy. No. You trying to involve us in that war. And we are totally involved in that war. And we got to do better. And like I said, the shutdown should be the topic. That should be the topic. When it's over, we're going to get hit hard. Everybody's going to feel it. And people are not realizing, everybody think they're exempt from what's going on because you don't work for the government. No, you're not exempt. Wait till people start losing more health care. Americans. Not illegal immigrants. Initially, after this is about illegal immigrants. No, these are Americans. Look it up. Google it. You know, go on the White House website where you look at it. And then the Republicans are refusing to talk, refusing to negotiate. And I don't care whose fault it is. It needs to be resolved. It needs to be resolved. We can point fingers all day. It's the left fault. It's the right fault. That's all they do. They are elected to resolve issues. That's called leadership. They're in office to resolve these dilemmas, not fight about it. And we expect them to be professionals and get this done. We believe that the Republicans need to bring their asses back to the table and sit down and negotiate. And stop just trying to blame the Democrats and vice versa. And then Trump, when, I was surprised that he was brazen, that he even dropped the F-bomb at the end of his press conference. That was wild. If I want to hear all that, you could just go to the hood somewhere, or not the hood, but just listen to profanity. I expect on that level, I want you to use the dictionary. I want you to have exceptional vocabulary, that you can express yourself in a clear, concise manner. I don't need you dropping F-bombs. I need you to be the president. That's what shows strength. Showing strength, you ain't got to jump up and down. You can just be cool. That shows strength. Not being emotional. Stop being sensitive, especially men. You got to clutch. You got to be sensitive and emotional. Acting like women. No, be men. Be men. Stand your ground. Stand 10 toes down and fight for Americans. And all that trying to divide us because of hatred, because of bigotry. You got these racist people running around in Trump's cabinet now. Especially that Stephen Miller, he's a little demonic spirit running around. He's so full of hate and anger for American people. He wants this all white. You might achieve all white in a town, but you're not going to achieve it in heaven. You're not going to achieve it in heaven. So you can separate yourself, and we can keep our trillions of dollars in the Black community that we pump into this country, that we spend in everybody's community. And we set the culture and the standard of this country. All the music from rock to country to R&B, hip hop comes from us. Fashion, style, swag, from Asians to Indians. Everybody try to have Black swag. That's it. Everybody want to talk about us and everybody want to be like us. And that's the funny thing about all of this. But we give a lot to this country, and we will continue. And we fight for this country. There's many black soldiers that have served, including my son, he served, and his wife, they and as many people have given their lives. I have a whole family of military giving their lives for this country. So it's behooving to me to see the treatment that in 2025 that's coming from the White House. I did not see this coming. I'm gonna be honest. When Trump did the First Step Act, to me, okay, he's undoing what Biden did with that 1994 crime bill that caused mass incarceration of black men. And Trump last debate with Biden, he had him to admit it. He said, you need to admit what you did was wrong. And Biden finally had to cave in and said it was wrong. Didn't know it was going to turn out like that. The former mayor de Blasio was saying that it was horrific what happened to the black community because they over-sentenced us. And now here go Trump with the same rhetoric that Biden had being an author. Then they got this coon, Byron Donalds, who I thought he was all right at first. He's going to write a bill to put our children in jail. And this asshole was given a second chance, Byron Donalds. He was arrested, I think, until he was 18, like twice. And now he's a sitting senator running for governor of Florida. And look at Trump, convicted felon, the president of the United States. And you're trying to say that kids don't have, you're not going to give children a chance? You want to just keep them up and over-sentence them for crimes they haven't even committed? They're doing that same crap again. I refuse to stand by and watch that. We got to do what's right. You can't have our children, not this go around. And all the black people that want to be sellouts and want to get on that bandwagon, then you want to answer to God. Everybody's going to answer to God at the end of the day. Everybody think they got all the power in the world, but you don't. You don't. Because your eternity is in God's hand. Whether you believe in God or not, you will stand before him and answer to him for everything you said and everything that you have done. And God is not racist, and he's not prejudiced. And he certainly don't have an all-white section in heaven or all black section or any section where he made the human race. He made the human race is what he made. So anyway, it's a lot we got to do, but we need to be focused on the shutdown. We need to open back up the government because more people are going to lose jobs. They cannot be replaced. They're not replacing these jobs. They're not replacing them. My community is being hit hard as usual. Hard. They're not replacing the jobs. It wouldn't be a problem. You want to get rid of these great jobs, living wage jobs. I don't know if y'all understand what a living wage job is. A living wage job, but you're replacing it with nothing. And I'm talking about white, black, Indian, whoever had these jobs, they're all losing these jobs. So you're going to see a lot more for sale signs going up with houses. They're going to be losing their houses, their cars, their kids got to come out of college. They're going to be losing everything. And the worst thing is that they're going to be losing health care. And it's important to have health care. So I just pray to God that the Republicans come back, talk it out, make sure Americans are not affected with this shutdown any more than they have been. And that's what you guys should want. And they flooding the news, they flooding the news every day to deflect from the shutdown. We're talking about Ukraine when we should be talking about the shutdown. Yesterday talking about, I forget what he was talking about yesterday. He's talking about stuff every day. But he's saying the same stuff over and over again when we should be talking about the shutdown. They need to be coming together. Mike Johnson, you need to be talking to Schumer. They need to come together. Hakeem Jeffries and them, they need to be talking. And they can't talk if the Republicans refuse to talk. So you can't blame the Democrats if you refuse to talk. We're not going to play that game. You gotta come to the table. You got to have a seat at the table. And y'all supposed to work this out on behalf of the American citizens that were elected to represent, irregardless of party. Because when you need a doctor, your freaking party has nothing to do when you need to have surgery. It has nothing to do with that. We need to come together so more Americans don't succumb to what's going on right now between these two parties. Yeah, God made variety. But it's terrible. But we need them to do right by us. We got to call on elected officials, get back to the table. If you have Republican representatives, you guys need to be on phone and say they need to get to Washington. They need to go back to Washington. They need to sit down because it has to be worked out. But the longer they take, the more effect it's going to have on this country and its citizens. Period. Period. And I don't want to hear it was whose fault it was. They need to get the damn job done. They were elected to resolve. A leader, I consider myself a leader, we're supposed to resolve problems. And that's what they're supposed to do. And they can't resolve it if they won't pick up the phone and they won't meet. It's not going to be resolved like that. This administration is not doing what I thought that it was going to do for the American people. And every day I'm discouraged when I see what's happening. And if you're not keeping up and seeing what Trump is doing, what he's signing, and I don't know who's in his ear from Stephen Miller to Elon, maybe J.D. Vance and them, they wouldn't even, J.D. Vance and Charlie Kirk's best friend wouldn't even denounce the group chat that was exposed. Thousands of chats with racist stuff coming from the young Republicans. The young Republicans had thousands of chats. They were talking about putting people in gas chambers. They was making fun of the Jews, black people, all types of different ethnicities. And Charlie Kirk friend, I think he was on it with Adam Mockler. He wouldn't even denounce the remarks. Wouldn't even denounce it. Wouldn't he denounce? J.D. Vance didn't denounce it. You know, talking about gas chambers. There's nothing cute about that. That's what's going on behind the scenes. That's the mindset. And that's troubling. Now, people used to hide all this, their presidentism, especially you running for office and all that. They're so brazen. That don't mean, what Republicans have to understand, because you in leadership right now, power now, you keep on, you're hurting your own base. You're hurting Republicans as well. Yeah.
I didn't expect this.
I didn't expect any of this.
This presidential.
We went against everyone to support Trump. Everyone.
Like for example, like now when I go in stores, I am focused on. I am followed. People make sure to keep their eye on me. Me just going into a store. I can give you a lot of examples, but I'm not going to do that. But now I didn't expect to feel now uncomfortable even just going in places, knowing that people are going to be judging me and thinking and stereotyping me and thinking I'm there to be up no good. I'm just trying to live life like the rest of you. And this is because of Trump. And me being like an avid Trump supporter, I just feel let down by this.
And there was 2 million black men and over there voted for Trump that now are probably regretting their vote. And if he keeps going down this road, he's most definitely going to lose the black support that was gained for the Republicans. There's no way we're going to support people that means us no good.
I never said that I'm special. I'm saying that didn't happen to me before Trump has became president. That's what I'm saying. I was treated like normally.
But when he said that when he make a brazen statement that classifying like all black men are thugs and criminals and they're born that way, that carries throughout the world. So even when you have people coming in from other parts of the country, they look at black people, oh, I need to be scared, they're a criminal, and that's a lie from hell. We're successful, articulate, wealthy, multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, middle class, upper middle class,
Matt,
like everyone else in this country.
Matt, and I know you're really happy in your trailer park home.
Yeah. And the thing about it, like I think Johnson said, if you get the lowest whatever people, that's what he was talking about, white people, like the poor ones, if you let them think they're better than black people, then you'll have them forever. And it's like, however he phrased it, that's what has been happening. It's like we're transgressing instead of moving forward, Matt, as one nation under God.
Matt, do you want me to flex on you right now?
don't give your energy to people that's not worth
I'm
it.
just joking.
Yeah,
But he's saying like rude stuff to us.
don't give your energy. It doesn't matter what he says. Who cares? Don't nobody care. Try to get the people that you want to listen to. Tell your boss what you got to say.
Say that to a black person in person.
Yeah, tell your boss what you got to say. Walk up and down the street and tell black people whatever what you got to say. Tell your neighbors what you have to say. You know, because families are blended now. Because a lot of families, you look at them and you wouldn't know they married to a black woman or a black man. They got grandmother. She white and she got black grandkids. We are a blended nation. Most definitely blended. Most definitely blended. So we're very much blended. We ain't get like this for nothing. We're blended. So it's just sad. But anyway, you guys, we're going to jump off. This is not the show that we really want to do. We're going to come back on and we want to hit some of these topics that are going on that we got to push back at. And that's what we really want to do. But thanks for joining us. And like I said, pray for your president. Pray for him, you know, because he needs prayer. Because the people around him, like the first administration, he didn't have all these evil people around him. Yeah. And the people around him now are really pushing that project 2025. And I never believed it. I said, no, he's for Agenda 47. They said they got more than half of it completed. So we're not heading in the direction that I thought that we would be heading into. But don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and become a special friend and Speak the Truth 2.0. We will be back up because we put the president on because we need to hear what your president has to say. That's why we put him on, because I never listened to a president before, but we need to listen to what's going on. Whether you voted for him or not, whether you agree with him or not, it's important to listen to your president. And the next thing you need to do, if you're not in agreement with him, pray for him. There's nothing more powerful than that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, lastly, like, as a president,
thanks, Truth.
As a president, you're supposed to like show class, and
yeah,
because it's a high prestige, and I didn't feel comfortable with him getting up there cursing, dropping the F-bomb.
Yeah, that was just like, that didn't show power. That showed weakness when you do that, especially coming from the highest office. Probably the highest office in the world, actually. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. God bless you. Going out, don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We are going to try to jump back on here later on, but we want to hear what they had to say with Zelensky. Zelensky's here because he wants those Tomahawk weapons. He wants to fight harder, and I think that we're going to get dragged into that war if it's not ended soon. We're heading that way. And then there's no more elections because Zelensky don't want it to end. That's how he's still president. As long as the war is going on, he's still their president. And they want him out in Ukraine. They want that man out. And Trump knows if we're in war, there will be no 2028 election. So I think stuff is going on right now, but we will see. Anyway, God bless you guys. Take care. And thanks for joining us. And we'll see you on the next live. God bless. Peace out.